For a look at the ongoing Brexit backlash, Josef Janning joins us from the European Council of Foreign Affairs, or Foreign Relations rather. Mr. Janning, sum up the mood in London. You've just come from there in one word for me.
It's bitterness.
Bitterness.
Degree of bitterness which has surprised me after more than a week.
Why bitterness, considering that democracy is at work here? We've seen 17.5 million Brits vote to leave and get what they wanted.
Yeah, but it isn't decided. There is no healing after a deep controversy. Those who voted to leave are now seeing that their gesture kind of falls apart with all of the key political figures leaving, and with a great buyer's remorse setting in. Those who voted for Remain now feel that there might be a chance to reverse this, but there's nobody who could actually lead this. So they are frustrated equally.
Well, just as Boris Johnson left, or just before he left, he said in his departure speech that everyone's going to earn more money. Is it comments like that that have caused so much confusion or perhaps this bitterness?
Well, we've been used to the fact that, for example, British print media have been rather cynical about politics. But now I think what's irritating the British public is that actually policymakers are just as cynical as the press has portrayed them. And now, a lot of people don't know what to believe any longer. Because if everything is just a lie or is made up, what then is true? What then is reliable to them? And that's what you sense when you're in discussions with people there.
Can we here in Germany be led to believe that things will get better here as a result of what's just been voted for?
I don't know, really. I think Germany will also suffer from a Brexit because Britain is important for German business. There are quite significant German investments there. The British share a number of our preferences. They are also in favor of an open and competitive market.
Talking about competition, yeah. Corporate tax rates. The finance minister, Britain's finance minister, sinking it or wanting to sink it from 20% to 15%. What's that going to do?
Well, that's an entry into offshoring. It's trying to not only attract investments by tax dumping, but probably the next step will then be a lower regulation for the financial sector, which is something that could very likely happen. And the third would be attracting part of the Panama business to the United Kingdom, be the Singapore off the coast of Europe. I think that's a very controversial perspective.
And if Scotland ends up leaving the UK, how would that change things?
Well, that would change things again, because that would mean the end of the British Union, which is, for over 300 years, a union of kingdoms, and that is so deeply embedded into the British identity that a lot of people would wake up and not recognize their country any longer.
We've heard about online petitions, challenges to the Brexit. Is it a done deal?
I think it is a done deal, but people don't know it yet because this I think is a bit of a self-delusion, as people still want to hold on to the straw of such a petition, but at the same time they have to understand that it generates an equally high frustration on the side of the 52%, because they feel that their vote isn't respected.
And you talked about a weakening Germany because of business relations with the UK. What about the EU as a whole? Could we see a more focused EU? That's what I've heard from some analysts, and perhaps a weaker bloc.
Well, some things might become easier. I think that without the UK in, the Eurozone is the center of economic and financial politics in Europe, and a lot of focus will be on it. And then there is no excuse for finance ministers not to move on some of the regulatory issues, on the banking union issue and others, because Britain is not there to stop it. On the other hand, without the UK there, without the second largest economy there, the whole business of ensuring Europe's prosperity gets a bit more complicated.
Okay, Mr. Janning, thank you very much for coming in today.
Welcome.